Okay, that's not what we're going to talk about, though. We're going to talk about
Fart
the
noises?
radio.
Oh. I was like, fart noises? What
Yeah,
are
we're
you
going to
doing?
talk about fart noises. I have a new fart noise machine that I
It's
want to pitch to people.
you've redesigned the whoopee cushion. Very nice.
So here's the thing, Scott. You're a podcast producer. So you're the
Yes.
expert in the show. This is like your expert. It's good when you're the
Good.
expert.
Get out of my
when
way.
It's
I'm the
movies, when
yeah.
it's something, it's your expert. Okay.
Movie expert.
Movie expert, podcast expert. Okay, you're the expert on this. WTF.
Oh, with Mark Maron. That's a show.
Why? Okay, you really are the expert. You're fast. You're fast.
You can't trick me. I know that one.
No.
Show me another one.
Okay.
Joe Rogan. That's a show.
Here's the solution. Spotify or some podcast, person, institution
Yes.
should buy AM radio stations and put podcasts onto them.
Full stop.
How is that not happening already? It's
How are
so
they not
freaking
repurposing?
obvious.
Yeah.
How much does an AM radio station cost? Probably like $50,000. Like nothing.
I
They're,
have no
they're in the
idea.
middle of nowhere. Rural. It's all cheap.
Okay.
And you can buy a tiny bandwidth. It's a huge bandwidth.
Sure.
Most of it's empty. Have you turned your radio and it goes across for like whole
Okay. Yeah,
parts
yeah,
of-
yeah.
And AM goes really far. It goes really far. It covers hundreds of miles. Why don't they just buy AM radio stations and digitally pipe in episodes of podcasts?
Well, then
It's insane. And then they could put ads in and make tons of money. It'd be a radio station.
they're just like you're reinventing radio.
I know, but it's insane.
But the problem is people weren't listening to radio because it was having too many ads or like they weren't able to get the shows that they want on demand. So maybe you'd have like a channel of This American Life that's a bad example because This American Life
Is on the radio.
is a radio show that then gets turned into a podcast.
Right.
But like you're like you would have to have, I guess, shows that don't have cursing on them, right? Because you're on the airwave.
Beep it out.
You'd have to put beeped versions out, or
You could also say apply to this podcast program, which is the radio program.
okay,
Because it would be a whole other monetization. It'd be a whole other thing, and it'd be like candidates for this should no swearing. The episode should be these length.
Right,
You should
right.
have these ad breaks built in. They could say, but if they put that out there, we would no doubt. I think we would no doubt at least as an experiment, we would produce 10 episodes of that and apply and try to get on the radio airwaves.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
well, I think I've heard of them doing it kind of in reverse, where there will be radio stations that produce a show for their radio, and then they will put out a podcast version of that.
I've heard of that
but
too.
it's not. I haven't heard of one where it's like we're a radio station and we buy podcasts and then put them on the.
And Spotify could do it like really technologically, like they could like using algorithms and using like.
But why
there
would
wouldn't even have to be
Spotify-
anybody at the radio station? Like it could just connect to the internet. They could like go to the radio station where the tower is, and then just plug it into the internet and be like, okay, now our software just digitally.
They
does
could definitely pipe in the audio that they have.
Right.
But I'm trying to figure out why would like Spotify feels like they're in the business of trying to kill radio stations, not
why?
Not like
it's just
buy
technology.
them.
They have an Android app. They have an iPhone app.
It's true.
It's just a channel.
Okay.
And it's not expensive to run because, again, you just plug it in the internet. There wouldn't even have to be anyone there. It could all be run like from whatever, Spotify's office, wherever it is in Sweden or whatever. I don't know.
Well, I was alive when they did that whole switch with radio where it kind of went from being individual small market things where it's like these two DJs are from your spot and they talk about to like, we're piping in Jack FM or whatever, like this automated
radio or
this
whatever.
automated thing that comes from a central. I mean, Ryan Seacrest now does his show in LA and then they broadcast it everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, they were doing that with Howard Stern way back when and like lots of syndicated radio shows, but it would be kind of the reverse of that where you've already got something with an RSS feed, a syndicated feed.
Right.
And then you're deciding you would need a programming director maybe because it's not like every episode of every show gets on, but like what would our listeners care about and how would we do that?
It'd be a radio show. So people would be like, cool, we're going to do like certain segments are going to be like repeating every week at a certain time. Other segments, and then all night long, you could just do reruns,
And you could build up, it works both ways, right? You could build up new listeners to discover it, like who are just listening to the
what's the problem with podcasts? Discovery. That's the freaking problem. Well, guess what, Spotify? You invested hundreds of millions of dollars in podcasts.
Right.
Spend another couple $100,000, you could acquire an AM radio and see if you don't get more discoverability.
The difference, I mean, the thing
you're literally blasting it out into the ether now,
I feel like YouTube is trying to do this, but also everyone's trying to figure out the one good thing that TV had going for it was that you would just leave it on. And whatever comes on next gets a little bit of the
That's what I would do. I was painting the other day.
Yeah.
And I paint for like 3 hours usually. Okay. What do I listen to? I have paint all over my hands.
You're not changing
I can't touch my phone.
Right.
But if I set a radio, turn it on, bam, great. I love it. It's great. But it's all this old crap because radio's for cotton tops. Radios. Like who's listening to the radio?
Oh, I hope Carrot Top changes his name to Cotton Top when he gets older. And he's got only props meant for elderly people.
Like a cane with 4 legs at the
bottom.
I
tied prunes to this walking cane, and isn't that my new prop? I'm Cotton Top, thank you.
Cotton Top.
This big Cotton Top.
Dude, I don't think he's going to make it till he has gray hair.
What are you talking about?
He doesn't look healthy.
What? He's like, he started lifting weights like crazy. He looks like a steroid freak now, I think, doesn't he?
I don't think it's healthy to have steroids in your system.
No.
It kills you.
Oh.
You'll have a heart attack.
Every WWF wrestler.
And how long do they live? Yeah, exactly. They don't get gray hair.
That's true.
They die.
All right.
Carrot Top is definitely going to die. I'm sorry, Cotton Top.
Wow, Scott. Yeah. Sorry, Scott, if you're listening to this.
Scott.
His name is Scott. He's another Scott.
2 Scotts.
I thought I knew his last name, but
by the way, I'm Adam Browse.
I'm Scott Moppin.
This is Solutions for the Multiverse.
Welcome, everybody.
That was in the middle. Hey, we did it. Oh, it's 10 minutes in. That's not too bad.
That's not bad.
No, that's not bad.
We got it.
A couple minutes in. But yeah, Solutions to the Multiverse. We have a new solution every week. This week's solution is Spotify should buy AM radio stations and just blast podcasts. Okay, another podcast idea, mini sidebar solution.
Okay.
We just talked about this the other day. You told me someone left a comment on our Spotify podcast episode or the solution or the episode show.
Spotify
like a review
has a place where you can ask questions, and our former guest, current listener Eric Finkelstein,
or it's public.
It's public somewhere. He'll put a comment on there,
stupid,
and I get an email about it to like approve the comment, but I don't know where it lives.
I need to just grab the Spotify executives by the scruff of the neck and just shake them. Because
that'll get our podcast.
Because I don't get it. Okay, what's the absolutely most successful media organization on the planet? It's called YouTube.
Right.
Okay, it doesn't take a freaking rocket surgeon to figure out that YouTube has comments underneath the videos. Okay, open up your Spotify app right now. Go to the podcast episode. Look at that. No comments. What the hell? Just let people put whatever they want to say in the comments, and then the creators can read the comments and interact and reply to the comment, and people can vote the comments up. I mean, this is not freaking rocket surgery. This was invented decades ago. Spotify's just like, I don't get it. I don't get what we should do. I don't get it. Oh my God.
Well, part of me wonders if they want to avoid some of the YouTube comment sections are not the most friendly.
But people flag them and then they delete, or they vote them up and then at the top. It's true. Yeah, this is a solved problem. This is not like, what do we do? Oh God, we're gonna get.
They're choosing to be bad at this. Is what you're saying?
I think that they take stupid pills every morning. As far as I can tell, I don't get it. I mean,
stop buying stupid pills. That's step one.
Go into the pharmacy.
Get your prescription changed.
Get vitamin D, not vitamin dumb.
When your doctor's like, I'm recommending you stupid pills, you'd be like, no.
As many stupid pills as you can
I don't want to.
I mean, I don't want to insult Spotify executives if they ever
You just did.
Do business with us.
You've already told me to grab them and shake them.
No, I'm going to do that. I'm going to scruff of the neck, just like a bad kitten.
These are adult humans. They don't want to be grabbed by the scruff of their necks.
Well, then they should do their damn jobs. Do the job. clearly you should. Okay, the Spotify AM radio station thing. That's a little bit of a wacky thing. Clearly, they should do it first. Just one, try it out in like a small market. Maybe they tried it in Australia, like
right?
In a sort of secondary market sort of thing. Did you know that almost all video games come out in Australia first
No.
to test if they're good, and if they're good, then they get launched in America?
What?
Yeah,
weird.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah. Because Australia is like a tiny, basically it's like a test market for Americans because it's like West, it's like Anglo.
You're like you're like, I'm reading the comments on this beta version and it says more boomerangs. Weird. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we'll throw in more boomerangs, more kangaroos.
Yeah, more shrimps.
Interesting.
More Barbies. Not Barbies, but barbecues.
No, more Barbies, more Barbie dolls.
That's why they get confused.
Made $1.5
That's why the
billion
movie Barbie
this year.
came out, was because
in
they
Australia,
were like more Barbies.
It tested
and everyone was like, more Barbies. They always want more Barbies. We got to do a movie.
You want to go see a Barbie? And they're like, of course I do. Let's do it.
Let's go to the Barbie.
And they're in a movie and they're like, wait a minute, I got tricked.
Wait, did he say go to the Barbie?
When is there going to be where's the food coming?
Kids these days on TikTok, they just say things that are, but I don't know. You're the podcast guy. What do you think? I mean, am I crazy here that podcasts are
No, I don't think you're crazy.
Screwing the pooch.
I don't think you're crazy. I think that it is the discoverability. Things go in waves. And so I think what we're seeing with let me jump over to TV.
Okay.
What we're seeing is they're like, boo regular TV, boo cable, we have streaming now. And now they're like, oh, streaming doesn't make money, so we'll have to put in ads. And then it's hard to have people discover our shows, so we have to kind of like link them to other shows or branch them out. And they're just now replicating TV. Like they're creating a new version of cable television, which is the thing that they moved away from. But then they're discovering, like I think this happens a lot where it's like, we're discovering things shouldn't be built like this, and then you try and do it a different way, and you go, oh, now I'm discovering why it was built like that.
But we're getting the on-demand. I mean, that's the thing we're gaining.
Yes.
We're gaining that you can watch whatever you want when you press the button, turn on,
So I think,
although you can't really watch whatever you want because the show's not on that.
Sometimes
they
close
it off.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone should just BitTorrent everything. Just a little trick.
But I think that's
you can safely BitTorrent.
I think that's going to happen with audio too. Like audio goes in these flux where it's like we go through a period where everything is served to you from like a higher level where it's like the radio station. It's like you get all your music, and then now we can start discovering our own music, and now it's kind of like we're the person serving it, and then eventually the appetites will go back to, you know what, I would like to hear what other people want to serve me.
So let me just suggest that radio is good for discoverability. Case in point, music.
Oh, totally.
All music, most music, I think, is discovered through turning on the radio in your car. You listen to the radio, and then you hear that song, and then you go and get the album. Or
that used to be for sure. That used to be it. Like
it still is, isn't it? Don't they still?
Not for me. I don't know.
No.
But I mean, probably for a lot of people.
Yeah, for a lot of people.
For me, I would say the way I discover music now is movies and TV shows. Like I'll be watching something, and like a song will go. I'll be like, "What is that song?" Like I'll Shazam it or whatever from or I'll look it up from what was playing in that episode, and then I'll dig in on that because that's what I'm exposed to. That's what it is. The radio used to be where I would have space to be exposed to new things that I wasn't already seeking out. Now it's like that'll come in on the soundtrack of a movie that I wanted to see.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, but I'm not listening to radio anymore. So that channel's over.
Right.
But if I hear it like as part of the soundtrack to something else, then that sometimes is the answer I need, I guess.
It wouldn't even have to be Spotify.
Well, it shouldn't have to be Spotify. Like
it could just be a business.
Spotify has, not to talk bad about the masters here, but they they're on a bit of a bad PR run right now because they just sacked a bunch of long-term podcasts where they had like bought a bunch of podcasts and made people go Spotify exclusive.
Right.
And then decided like, oh, we're going to sack all these. A lot of Gimlet shows got absorbed or whatever. Heavyweight was this big show that people were excited about. That's over or whatever, just because they're like, we're going to fold stuff in or we're just going to close stuff off. People are like, oh, that's what happens when you sell your show. You lose the ability. You could get shut down or whatever.
And then you can't just keep doing it because they own the intellectual
I guess
property.
not. Yeah, I don't know what the rules are. If you can like,
you'd have to make
take everyone and restart the new thing, but your branding already.
Did you listen? Yeah. I just thought Spotify would do it because they invested
They're the biggest
so much money.
Yeah,
their whole
making
problem
moves.
and the whole problem with podcasts is discoverability. Yep. So I thought they were gonna add comments, add more discoverability, more, and then
have an algorithm recommend to you
recommendations,
other shows.
right? And have it be. I thought they'd have an algorithm that would clip out short clips and make kind of a TikTok-y sort of experience where you could flick through, and maybe that could even autoplay. You could set up your phone and it would just go through clips of a bunch of interesting podcasts, and then you'd be like, oh, that clip was really cool. What podcast is that? Click follow. Boom. Now the discoverability. But they don't do it. They don't create the TikTok experience. They don't create comments. They don't even do referrals like other episodes like this one down below. They don't do they just don't do all the things that if I was sitting in a room and it was like a whiteboard brainstorm session.
Right.
Okay, everybody. What do you got? What do you got for me today? What do you got for discoverability? Like, our biggest problem is discoverability. Like, the simplest, obvious things are not being done.
Right. You're the podcast czar at Spotify now, and you're like, why isn't there a algorithm recommending snippets down the side of everything?
What
or
the
whatever?
hell?
If you like this, you would like these, we think. And we might be wrong, but check it out and see.
Just think about the screen real estate. When you look at a podcast playing on Spotify, I don't even care about the Apple podcast because clearly Apple's asleep at the wheel. They don't seem to care.
They're the biggest like purveyor of podcast situations, but they don't seem to care at all.
Yeah. But so podcast does want to beat Apple. Like they're like really want to.
Spotify,
or Spotify, and they're clearly not doing it. Just look at the screen real estate. When you open up, hey, I'm listeing to an episode of a podcast.
What does it look like when you're listening to a podcast?
You just see you just see the podcast like episode art or if there is no episode art, then the art of the thing, and it just looks like that. It takes up a huge amount of the real estate.
Yeah,
is taken up by this image that gives you very little information.
Right,
like none information. This thing could just be a little tiny thumbnail. This whole play thing could be a tiny thing up there, and the whole rest of it could be comments and referrals.
Yep.
And it would be way more information dense and interesting.
Is that the Spotify interaction you're looking at?
Okay, so maybe
if you scroll down,
there's a Q&A. What did you think about this episode?
That's probably where by the way, that's probably where Eric's leaving his cues.
But then why can't we do it? Why can't we? We don't get any notification. I don't see that. And look, I'm in the episode now of our thing, and we don't see that. I'm in the episode, and
that's a thing we may have to figure out how to like connect at the end.
Reply. It's ridiculous.
It's not very intuitive, and it's not very like localized.
A child could design it better than they have.
Well, a kid is gonna like be like, and then I want this, and then I want this, and then just put them all together. But
I can't believe they don't do it. The TikTok thing would really work because that's so addicting, and you could let it sit, and it would just, like
play
when I was painting or you're doing anything, you could just turn it on, and it would just go through and play 5-minute shorts from 100 different podcasts.
And you could direct your own. You could get a playlist of like hosts roasting each other, or giving each other like
that'd be fun,
playing funny jokes on each other, or a thing of that.
Yeah, or you could just say, hey, play episodes about this topic, and it would play all these different episodes
if they've been talking about like who's talking about this right now.
They don't do it. Anyways, this is the problem with podcasts. Please fix it, because I'm here's my perspective. There's all this amazing content. A big podcast has like 20,000 listeners. That's like nothing. That's like nothing, right? That's like nothing.
Yeah, we only have 40,000 listeners. A
big YouTube channel has like 1 million subscribers.
Yes, sure.
A big podcast has like 20,000, maybe 50,000.
Maybe much different.
Yeah. But there's really no reason why that should be. I think it should be much larger. Maybe not as big as YouTube because it is visual and whatever.
Right.
But you can do so much more. Like when you're watching YouTube, you have to watch YouTube. But you can do everything. You can drive, you can paint, you can do it, you can bowl, you can do anything while listening to podcasts.
How are you going to bowl? Oh yeah, while you're listening to podcasts. I thought you meant while you're watching YouTube.
Yeah, no, exactly. With YouTube. So podcasts, actually, there's so much more opportunity for when people could be listening to podcasts while they're walking. You can't walk and watch YouTube. You look like a psycho, right? I know, I've tried. Right. So there's all these times when people could be listening to podcasts, and Spotify's just screwing it up. They're just not doing the bare minimum obvious things.
You just gave me an idea. Side solution.
Okay.
Bowling alleys. You don't need to hear just the constant falling of pins and the roll. You know what I mean? Like, and the music that they're playing. That's not. You don't need.
Okay.
So bowling alley. We open a bowling alley. So forget about Spotify buying AM radio stations. Spotify buys bowling alleys and gives everyone noise canceling headphones that are playing podcasts while they bowl.
What's the name of it?
What's the name of the bowling alley?
Sure. Or the concept? I don't know.
It'd be like Pod and Bowl or
Pod
something.
And Bowl.
Bowlcast.
Bowlcast. Oh, I like that.
And you go and it's like
Pod Bowl.
It's you've seen those silent discos where they give everyone headphones and then people are dancing and looking like
very fun.
Partially
I did
insane.
Yoga like that once on the beach.
Oh, that's okay.
Fun.
That seems less weird than dancing to music that no one else can hear.
That's
but
true. Yeah.
But it's like that except the bowling version, and we're cutting out all the I'll insert some bowling sound effects here, I guess. But
this is a good Scott's Great Idea show. Although I still like straight macaroni. Straight macaroni. That was one of the best Scott's Great Idea show episodes. Or that wasn't an episode, but you just said it. You were like, straight macaroni.
Definitely.
Macaroni's too curved.
Well, definitely buying radio stations is going to give you more access to more people than buying bowling alleys. But
there might even be, listening in our many millions of listeners, there might be someone who's like, I own 5 AM radio stations and I just don't know what to do with them. Well, you could say, okay, we're going to
if someone gave us a radio station, we would definitely
we would do it.
I would program direct it and figure out podcasts to put on there. And
podcasters would be dying. They would love it.
Oh, sure.
Say, this is, I want to be on there.
I'll be like,
they do it for free. They just give you it for free.
A 25-mile radius in this department, like in this section of the
Nevada.
Yeah, of course. You're listening to weird. I've heard some weird stuff. I loved AM radio. Like growing up, that would be my default, is put the car on AM radio and hit scan when I'm like driving late at night and find weird.
So I have an idea.
Shows.
I have an idea. What if what this episode really is about?
Yeah.
Is actually incepting into Spotify these ideas.
We're
so obvious.
We're on Spotify.
Yeah,
so now we are saying these, and they're
I have an idea. I'm going to say this, and I think we should do it.
Okay.
We should get the technology to record an 8-track of this episode.
Okay.
Just whatever it takes.
Okay.
eBay, 8-track, whatever.
8-track.
Play it into it. Record it on an 8-track.
Right.
Maybe 10 copies.
Why an 8-track?
Because it's right. 8 copies, and then write something sort of mysterious on it. Like, whatever, something mysterious on it.
The answer to all your problems.
And then put it into a thing and mail it to all the Spotify headquarters.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
Because they'd be like, what the hell? And they'd be super curious what was on it. Right? Because it's like an 8-track. They'd be super curious. Somebody there would be super curious.
Curious enough to go and find a way
Yes, exactly. To
play
find a way to play an 8-track. And then when they did, it would be like our episode telling them we're going to shake them by the scruff of their necks.
Yeah,
they don't know how to run their damn podcast division.
I was like, how far did we get in that? Like, we have to apologize for the part where we called everyone dum-dums.
Yeah, exactly. But it'd be so, but the person listening to it would, they'd be like, oh, whoa, these guys are crazy. Well, but actually, I wonder why.
They go up to the penthouse of the building. They break into the office of Mr. Spotify, holding this 8-track player. Mr. Spotify,
you gotta listen to this.
You have to hear this.
You gotta hear this. We've been dum-dums the whole time.
These two nooks in California have figured it out.
They've cracked the code.
Buy the AM radio stations now.
Maybe start with comments that actually work.
Okay, fine. Comments.
And a review.
Step 1, comments. Step 2,
recommendations.
AM radio stations.
Step 3, AM radio stations.
Step 3, conquer the world.
Step 4, TikTok.
We're going past.
Then AM radios would be last. Or you could start like a mini AM radio experiment to kick off. But yeah.
I'm for it. I like AM radio.
We got to do the 8-track. Or we could record it into the wax tubes.
A reel to reel.
The wax
Put
tubes.
on a cylinder. Yeah, like a wax cylinder.
Then mail
old school.
8-track has a little more cachet, though. I think 8-track is cool.
A reel to reel. We could put it on a VHS tape. We could. There's a few options. Yep. Cassette tape. I have none of these technologies anymore.
If I received a VHS tape, I would.
What would you do with it?
I would be scared that it would be like a snuff film or something. I would not want to watch it. I'd be like, "This is The Ring. I'm gonna die if I watch this.
We could press it on vinyl. I don't think that. I mean, that's.
But then that would be people would be like, whatever. Of course, they probably get vinyls all the time of artists.
Oh,
sending them
music?
vinyls. Yeah. But when do they get 8 tracks?
When do they get vinyls of a podcast?
That's funny. Oh, we should release vinyl episodes of our
30
podcast.
minutes into the podcast, you got to flip the record over so that you can hear the second part of the episode.
All right. Thanks everybody for listening.
I like it. We'll get right on it.
We're gonna send this 8-track out.
Podcast to the radio.
You heard it here
Comments
first.
to Spotify.
Yep.
We got everything to fix it, right? Discoverability.
Fix it all.
And if you've discovered this is a great time to link. If you've discovered this,
Please.
right now, this doesn't exist. The main way that people discover podcasts is by word of mouth, by telling other people. So if you enjoy this, tell someone else, send them a link. Send them an episode that you enjoy.
Yep.
And that's how we grow. We're using a little bit of your labor to help us, but rising tide lifts all boats, right?
And don't underestimate the power of a new solution.
Don't you dare underestimate the power of
it'll shake you by the scruff of your neck.
We got some neck scruff shaking happening here. So
you better keep that neck
mind your P's and Q's.
Because that scruff is going to get shaked.
Well, right on.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Come back next week. Thanks for joining.
Bye.
Bye.